ดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. My name is Pai. I'm a culinary school student right here in San Francisco and a purebred Thai born and raised. Now I'm here to show you how to make not just any Thai food, I'm talking about the real, unadulterated version with some seriously strong flavors. And if you want to know what that's like, come with me.
Hi guys, welcome again to my humble kitchen. So we've been doing all these hot and spicy things lately, and so I figured it's about time we sweeten things up a little bit and make dessert for a change. So today we're going to make one of the most popular desserts in Thailand, and it's mango and sticky rice, or khao niao ma muang. Alright, so there's four components to this dessert. There's the mango, there's the sweet coconut sticky rice, there's a coconut sauce that goes on top of the rice, and also a crunchy mung bean for topping. So let's get going. We're going to start with the rice. So we're going to start with washing our rice. Now we're using today long grain white glutinous rice or sticky rice, but make sure it's a product of Thailand because it does make a difference where your rice comes from. So we're just going to use 1 cup of it, and we're going to wash it really well. And here's how we're going to do it. So with cold water, just fill your bowl up. And we're going to, with your 2 hands, come closer so you can see. With your 2 hands, you're going to scrub the grains between your hands. You're really going to scrub them. And why we're doing this because we're trying to get rid of all the excess starch in the rice. Okay, because it's going to turn our final product mushy, because in the end we're going to add some liquid to the cooked rice, and if we have a lot of excess starch, the rice isn't going to maintain its integrity very well. So now that the water starts to get really cloudy, you're going to drain it off. Careful not to pour all your rice down the drain. And then refresh it with some fresh water. And you're going to do this 5 times, or until the water starts getting quite clear, to the point where you start to see the individual grains quite well. Alright, now traditionally we use something called alum. Now alum is a crystal that looks like this. Okay, it comes in a package kind of like that, and what this does is it tightens up the cell walls of the rice grains, and it prevents the starch from leaching out and turning the final product mushy. So what we do is we dissolve this in the water, use the water to wash the rice, and then we wouldn't have to do this so many times. But alum is very difficult to find in the West, so I figured instead of doing it the chemical way, we can do it the mechanical way and get rid of the excess starch by scrubbing the grains. Alright? So now, once you've done that 5 times, you're going to let it soak in water for at least 4 hours, preferably overnight. I like to do it overnight. You can leave it and forget about it, come back tomorrow. Okay? And when you've done that, what we're going to have is plump grains of rice. The rice has absorbed as much of the water as it possibly can, and it's just plump and quite fragile at this point, and it's going to be ready for the steam room. Here's my steamer insert that comes with my rice cooker, and I absolutely love it. It comes in so handy. We're going to line this with something porous. A cheesecloth is perfect, thin tea towels is perfect. Just make sure it's got enough pores for the steam to get through. So my tea towel here is actually quite porous. You can see through it, so it works well for this application. So line that, and we're going to put all of this rice into the steamer insert, and we're going to spread it out evenly so they cook evenly. Cover it up, and we're going to put it in the steam. Now, steam on high, okay, make sure the water is boiling vigorously, and we'll put that in. Let it go for about 20 to 30 minutes until the rice is chewy. Just give it a test after 20 minutes and make sure the rice is completely cooked through, nice and chewy, and then we'll be ready for the marinade. The marinade, or the macerating liquid I like to call it, is essentially a coconut syrup. Okay, so what I have here is 3/4 of a cup of coconut milk, and to this I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of sugar, and we're going to use white sugar for this because we want the color to remain white even though we use palm sugar in Thai desserts a lot of times. So in there is sugar and a half a teaspoon of salt. Alright, and we're just going to simply let this cook overheat until all the sugar has dissolved, and then turn it off heat right away as soon as the sugar has dissolved, because you don't want any extra liquid evaporating, because that liquid needs to go into the rice. Hi, so our rice just got finished, so I'm working quickly now. I'm going to transfer this, and carefully because you don't want to get steam burn. Transfer this into a bowl. Now, do not use metal bowl for this because you want maximum heat retention. So something thick, something insulated, and I'm going to pour this, the coconut syrup that we made just a second ago, over, and we're going to stir and make sure every grain gets coated. Okay, break up all the lumps. It's going to be really easy to break. Okay, now that it's all mixed, quickly cover it with foil. Alright, and we're going to let this rest for at least 30 minutes. Alright, give it a stir after 20 and, redistribute the coconut milk again. And we're going to let this rest in some place warm. I like to just put it back on my steamer, and so it's warm. And that heat is going to help the rice absorbs all that liquid, and it's going to steep, and what's going to happen is the rice is going to absorb the liquid. It's going to become moist, soft, and plump, and the outside will be coated by the coconut oil in the coconut milk, and it's going to be smooth, and it's going to help spread all that flavor onto your palate when you eat it. So we're going to come back to this in about 30 minutes. So while our rice is steeping in that wonderful coconut syrup, we're going to make the sauce that goes on top of the rice. And this sauce is essentially a thickened coconut milk that is salted. Yes, I said salted. I know we're making dessert, but this is our salty component. Now, Thai desserts like to play on the sweet salty combination of flavors that work really well with some ingredients, especially coconut. Coconut takes a salty sweet component really well. Peanuts also take the salty sweet components really well, like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Certain ingredients are perfect for that. So this will be our salty portion of the dessert. Now what I have here is 3/4 of a cup of coconut milk, and we're going to thicken that with rice flour. So a teaspoon of rice flour, make a little slurry with a tiny bit of water, just so that you can dissolve all the starch and it doesn't get clumpy on you. I learned this the hard way. Never put dry starches into a hot liquid, because you'll never be able to get lumps out of it. Never do that again. Alright, so that is all dissolved, going in. Now, if you don't have rice flour already, don't go out and buy a whole bag just so that you can use a teaspoon of it, alright? You go ahead and use all-purpose flour if you have some, or even another starch. All we need is thickening, so the sauce doesn't run all over the place. So the differences in starch, in the way that it thickens a liquid, in the end really isn't going to make much of a difference in the final product. So that's why it's very important to understand the purpose, the role of your ingredient in the dish that you're making, because when you understand what it does in the dish, you understand how to substitute it for another ingredient. Alright, so to that we're going to add now our salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in there, and we're going to let this cook, stirring constantly, because you don't want, the starch is going to settle at the bottom, and you don't want all the bottom of the pot to gel up. You want it to thicken nice and uniformly. So don't walk away. Cook it until it comes to a boil, because when it comes to a boil, you know that the starch has reached its full thickening power. Alright?